Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Everardo Recendiz. People around here know me as Coach Ever. I am a certified business and executive coach with Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. Today, I have Katie Coullard with Panola Pepper Company as my guest, and we're going to be talking about her business, the journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it really is like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so you can get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. And so without further ado, Katie, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this.
So would you just introduce us a little bit to Panola Pepper Company? Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to be where you are.
Sure. My name's Katie Brown Coullard. I was actually born into this business. My dad started it in 1983 and ran it for, gosh, until like 2011, maybe. And at that time, my husband and I moved back to Lake Providence. This is where the company is in Northeast Louisiana. And my husband took over and ran the business. At that time, my dad was like 75 years old, ready to retire, and it was either close the business or y'all come home. Because I have two brothers and they farm and they weren't interested. And my husband was intrigued. He's like, how often do you get the chance to have the opportunity to run a manufacturing facility in Louisiana, in the United States, that provides, wonderful products to people all over the world. He was very much of an entrepreneur, and he loved the idea of it. And it's where I grew up, so I didn't really have a problem with it. At the time, our boys were 5 and 3, and so they hadn't started school yet. So it was a good time to transition. So we came up here but we were living in Baton Rouge at the time. We moved up here and just hit the ground running. We've been working here ever since. Unfortunately, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the end of May of 2025, and he passed away October 1st. So he had a really short, hard fight with cancer and didn't make it. And sorry if I'm getting choked up a little bit, but so now I'm here and I'm in this role, and I'm grateful and I'm excited and yeah, so here I am.
Now, Katie, in the pre-interview, we had a conversation a little bit about, what led your dad to start this
Mhm.
operation. And I think it's worth mentioning
Yeah,
because, one of the things that gets lost in the shuffle is, that there are people out there who are trying to do well by others. So would you mind just sharing a little
sure,
bit on
sure.
that?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to share that story. So my dad had been making his mother's recipe for pepper sauce at home for years, years and years, and people loved it. They would bring their empty whiskey bottles or empty ketchup bottle, whatever, to the house, and then he'd fill it up and they'd take it home. And he just did this for years, and people tried to get him to sell it, and he's like, I'm a farm, I'm busy, I don't have time for all that. Until 1982-ish, maybe, Time Magazine wrote an article about East Carroll Parish, which is where we're located, being the poorest and the highest unemployed employment in the state of Louisiana. And so it just really, it really hit hard on my dad. I think I told you earlier, he was born and raised here. He went off to the Navy and flew fighter jet planes, and then he moved back home, took over the family farm. Just a really hard worker and go-getter guy, and just loved his home. And it hit him hard. And he's like, I can't let this be. And so he's like, I'm going to start a business, and I'm going to at least employ, 15 people, whatever it's going to be. He's like, I'm just going to create something, and this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do what I can do to make a difference. And so he did. And that today is still our motto. We try to maintain our facility and our equipment to be modern enough to be competitive, but not so modern that we get rid of our employees. So employing people is the number one goal for our company.
That
And
is definitely.
it makes a difference in this parish. I mean, we are a rural parish. We're a river parish, so I know people know a little bit about that. But I would say we're probably the second largest employer in town. Maybe the third. I guess I consider the hospital, but there's another large company here, and then us. So
It makes a difference when somebody makes a decision to stand up and say, "Well, I will not let this be,
yeah.
and I'm going to do something about it." And so that's extremely inspiring. Okay, well, set the stage for the people who are listening, the viewers. Um, what does the current ownership look like? I mean, are you the sole owner right now, or do you have any partners in this endeavor?
So my dad has passed away. So we're family owned business. And yes, I am the majority owner. My husband and I had the most majority. We kind of bought my brothers out a few years back. They have a small percentage and my mom has a small percentage and then it's me. So we still have the family involved, just at a smaller scale.
All right. And so, what is your role in this business nowadays?
Well, now that I have fallen into this like CEO, president kind of role, I take on daily tasks from managing what's the big picture of everything. I'm not the production manager or anything like that, but I have the overview of what's going on. My hands are in sales a lot. My hands are in the financials a lot. So just kind of a typical kind of CEO type position.
Very good. And so, you know, CEOs that are probably listening to these, they face some of the same challenges most of the time. They have to do with balancing what they do day to day with what they should be doing day to day.
Yeah.
Um, that like you said, the big picture thinking plus the daily operational needs, right? And so, what would you say that balance looks like for you? Like, how much of your time is invested into the day-to-day problem solving, making sure that things continue running, as opposed to the bigger thinking, things to do, strategies to pursue, things like that.
Right. I think it's probably a little bit more on the bigger, like what to pursue, the things we're going after, more of a sales position type. Let's focus on this versus that is more of where I spend my time. I have a great team here. Um, so the production wise, they handle most of that. I just have my hand in that just so I know what we're doing, when we're doing it, and make sure we're getting it out when it needs to get out. But other than that, they kind of can take care of all that without me really having my hands in it, and they understand it way better than I do anyway. They've done it for so many years. Um, that I have
Yeah.
got complete confidence in them. So I just try to focus more of my attention on the growth, the trajectory of where we're going to go, how we're going to get there, and empowering my team to get us there.
Getting the resources they need to make sure that they break through. And
Right.
so I love that. So let's move on to what makes your business so special. Um, you know, who primarily is your customer? If I were in the audience, how do I know that I will love to try your salt?
So that's what makes us a little unique is that we have kind of quite a few divisions in our company. So number one is we have our Panola brand, and it's absolutely the most amazing thing you've ever tasted. Trust me, you're gonna have to get your hands on some. But it's a very small part of our company. So the larger part of our business is doing what we call private labeling. Some people call it white labeling. So that means they would take my product and they'd put their name on it and then they would sell it. But we also do a big portion, it's called co-packing or co-manufacturing. And so that's when they come to us with their recipe. And they've been doing the same thing my dad did for years, making it at home. And now they want to go to market. So they'll come to us and they have their barbecue sauce or their wing sauce or their hot sauce or whatever it may be. And we will make it for them and package it up, have it ready to ship it to wherever they want it shipped. So that's co-manufacturing. And that's probably the biggest part of our company. And then another small part, but a growing part, is taking our Panola branded products and using it for promotional items. So there's a whole world out there in the marketing world where you buy hats and pens and notepads and anything with your company's name on it to give away for just some promotional stuff, advertising. So we have gotten our feet into that as well, where you can put a cute, fun label on a little bitty bottle of hot sauce and give it out to, your sales team so that they can give it out to all their people that says, you're the hottest you're the hottest podcast out there, whatever. So those fun little taglines. So we've kind of gotten ourselves in that little market too. So we kind of have four legs here, and the biggest one being that private label co-packing part.
Love it. I love it. And so, there's a lot of competition in the sauce market, right? And we have,
Right.
people who are or sauces that are very well known out there, right? And so, you know, how do you stand out over them?
So I'm not going head to head with them. That's not my goal. I'm not trying to be the next Tabasco. I mean, they've been around for hundreds of years, and everyone knows them, and they're fabulous. They're actually great people. We've actually collaborated with them on some projects. So, we're not necessarily a competitor of theirs. My product is a different type of product. My gourmet pepper sauce is like it says, it's gourmet. It's unique. It's a cooked sauce. It's thicker. It's fresh onions and garlic and a little bit of sugar and all these spices. And it's a different kind of product. So I find that we fit more in a gourmet food section or gourmet food market for Panola brand.
So
But
this
like I
is
said,
good for people who are into foodie and cooking and they want to do the gourmet ingredients, and this is
absolutely.
right along those lines.
Absolutely. We do. I do a good bit of, um, hate to even say it really, but like TikToking and videoing. I don't hate to say,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
I,
this
I
is
get,
this is
I
today,
kind of get a little embarrassed
2026.
sometimes, but that's how I promote the Panola brand. So, like I said, we're not really going to the grocery store shelf. We're teaching people how to use it on social media through TikTok and Instagram and all that. Um, and hopefully they buy it on our website.
Love it. I love it. And so, what is one thing you wish more people knew about Panola Pepper Company?
The complexity. I mean, when people come out here, we give tours all the time, and they have no idea what happens here. Like they don't realize how much product we make, and that there's so many things they may see on the grocery store shelf that was actually made in Lake Providence, Louisiana, but it doesn't say Panola on it. Like we actually made all that stuff here, and you will see it on the store, but it doesn't say it. Or like at Christmas time, there's a bunch of like gift sets that have like 10 different hot sauce in it, and it may look like a little suitcase, and it's a travel around the world hot sauce collection, and it was actually made here.
That
But
is
it doesn't say
amazing.
it. So yeah, all that, I mean, the complexity from everything you have to do from the sourcing the ingredients to packaging it to the compliance factor, it's a lot that happens, and no one realizes all that. Even people in our town will come out here sometime like, gosh, I didn't know y'all did all this. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, this is a good segue to the question I was going to ask. Based on this comment you made about TikTok. I mean, let's be honest. Social media, it is a big part of what grabs attention at this point. And
Mhm.
so, people who follow, let's call it structured strategies to go after these, to do it systematically, tend to get good results. And so, is this something that you're doing in house, or is this something that you're utilizing influencers and other means? How is this playing
No,
out for you?
yeah, we're doing in-house. I literally have a tripod all set up in my kitchen in my own house, and I just love cooking. Like if I weren't doing this, I would like to just do like a cooking school, and just it's just fun. I love my products, and I love to teach people how to use them. So I'll just whatever I'm cooking supper that night. I mean, it may be chicken salad, it may be an etouffee, it may be what I make recently, some kind of crawfish pasta, something. Um, whatever it is, I'll just video it and just teach you how to use like what I would use to incorporate into this dish and how I think it's going to make it better and why I think it's going to make it better. And so I just video it and then I'll do my own little editing and I'll just post it to our TikTok accounts. I have one, Panola has one. Um, we
All
have
right,
the
we're going to get to those, and you're going to have to give it to us at the end of this
okay,
podcast so that people can find you and
sure.
help promote. But we spent some time already talking about what makes up this business, a little bit of that history. Um, but I'd love to take a step back and dive into that journey a little bit more, at least from your perspective, right? So you mentioned how you came into this business, you were born into it, but then you left, you come back to 2011, and if I understand correctly from reading the material on your company, you started on the marketing side of things.
I did. I'm
Yes.
still probably on the marketing side of things mostly.
All right. And so, because of what happens with your dad, with your husband, you're now in this place as CEO. And so I kind of wanted to ask, what's that transition like for you? It's forced, yes. It's not an easy undertaking, but the responsibilities are different, right? So, what can you tell people who have been going through very big shifts like these? This is how we were doing things now. There's a new vision in place, or it's a continuation of it. That's what I'm getting into.
Yeah. I feel like me, because I've been here, like I said, for my whole life, and I've seen what my dad did and then transitioned into my husband and now transitioning to me. The biggest part is just being able to be adaptive. Being able to accept change, know who to listen to and when to listen to them, and know when I have to like be firm and kind of like, okay, no, this is my idea and this is what I think we need to do and this is why and discuss it. Like I'm that kind of person that wants to talk about things. Like this is why I'm going to do it and I'm going to tell you why. Or this is what I want to do and I'll tell you why. And I was the same. I feel like it's like raising kids. When you teach your kids when they're little, you don't just say no because I said so. That just didn't work. Didn't work with my kids. I wanted to say it a lot of times, but if I said no and told them you can't do it because it's going to burn your hand, then they would understand and they not do it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the same thing here is that I have to be adaptive. I have to understand what we're doing. I have to be able to make changes, but I also have to be able to explain the reasons why I think we do what we do.
Very good. Very good. That's very insightful. And so let me ask you these. Looking at your journey thus far, what has been the most memorable roadblock that you were challenged with, that you were forced to overcome?
Well, I mean, obviously the most memorable roadblock is going to be the passing of my husband. I mean, that's the most challenging of anything I think I'm probably going to ever face. Just personally and professionally. I mean, we lived together, we were married, we worked together, we were, it just was our whole life. So that is definitely the most challenging thing to overcome. But if you look at it as a business, if I just think about Panola and don't think about me personally, Panola's challenges on a day-to-day basis is probably our location. Being in rural Northeast Louisiana, uh, the supply chain sometimes gets to be a hiccup, whether the truck doesn't want to get here to pick up the order that we've had ready for, 4 days, or if it takes, 2 extra days for the vinegar truck to get to us to deliver the ingredients so we can make the sauce. And those sometimes are our biggest challenges is making sure our supply chain operates the best way we can get it to, most proficient. So that kind of a personal level and a business level.
Yeah, no, no, I
You're
get it. I get it. Thank
asking.
you. Thank you so much. I mean, what you're talking about is really supply chain and logistics, and that certainly can be a big challenge if you have a location that is not easy to find or it's out of the way. Because
Right,
most logistics companies want to kind of stick to well-known routes where they can make as much as they can for every route that they have to take.
right.
So thank you for that. And so let me ask you these. You're here 26 to 2026. This is 43 years after this company started. And so, in the big scheme of things, right? It's a very mature company that has already a well-known track record, right? Um, where do you see your company going in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years under your leadership now?
Yeah, I'm looking for growth. I feel we're looking to do two things really. We're looking to pick up a couple of more co-manufacturing type business jobs for people. we have the capacity to do a whole lot more than what we're doing. So, we're focused on gaining that business, but we're also have our hands, like I told you, with me doing TikToks and stuff. We have our hands in growing Panola's brand. I mean, it's my heart and soul. It's what I was, it's my family, my grandmother's recipe. It's something that means something to me. So I'm not saying that I am going to go, yeah, try to get on the grocery store shelf tomorrow. And I'm not, like I told you at the beginning of this, that's not really my goal. My goal is to maybe just focus on growing what we have already established, like on our website and our social media markets. And I feel like in the next 3 to 5 years, we're gonna be able to do a whole lot more with that. But meanwhile, staying competitive with our co-packers and packers and keeping our operations manufacturing at the prime level so that we are doing the best we can for the customers that we have.
So this is a very interesting point because, over the past few, I'm going to say a couple of decades, the tendency has been to move manufacturing outside of the country,
Hmm.
right? But
Yeah,
you stick to these being here. Evidently, that history, the reason why you started, it's part of these, right? But there are people out there that are in business, they're manufacturing things, and they're faced with this question all the time. What will you tell them? Why do they need to keep doing it here in the US?
because this is our country. I mean, these are our people. This is what we're doing it for. Why do you want to move something? That's one of the problems that we have here. I was talking about logistics earlier and supply chain is that there's some things that we cannot buy in the US that we have to buy overseas, and that's hard on us. Um, for our supply chain reasons. So I encourage people to start business in the United States, keep our jobs here, employ our people. It's the American dream.
It truly is. But thank you for that. I mean, again, it's important that we make a point always when we find these opportunities to encourage people. Yeah, there may be an additional cost in doing things here, but the return is not direct. It's
Yeah,
indirect. It's the
right.
lives of those people who are supported by the work that we do in these
Exactly.
industries. So thank you for that. And so you talked about the fact that you take over, you have to transition into this leadership style where you're listening and yet with some certainness calling the shots, for
Right.
lack of a better term. And so you know, this is something that as you continue growing, it's going to have to be transferred to other people. And so my next question has to do with the people that you're bringing behind you, right? What's the philosophy there? What do we want to see?
Well, the people that we have already hired here, are fantastic. And they're such a great team. They're very hardworking. They're very knowledgeable. They care. One of the most things important is that they care. They truly, truly care about the future. They care about what we're building here. As I look to the future, I don't know what it holds. This is not where, if you would ask me this 1 year ago, my husband would have been sitting right here. So who knows what happens? Who knows what thing? You can't predict that. I do have two sons, one at LSU, who's a sophomore, and one who just graduated, who from Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi, where he plays football, and he is in the NBA program there right now. And you never know. They're both finance majors, business majors, so maybe one day they'll want to come back.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for that. And so, as we talk about people development, at the end of the day, it could be that we bring people on board. Let me perhaps ask you, what's your approach to training and developing this talent that you have inside the organization? Because that's what helps retain and grow, right? When the people
Right.
that we can count on take on more responsibility.
Right. From a leadership team perspective, my role in developing them, like I said, I've only been doing this for several months now, 6 months maybe. And and so far my role has been listening to them mostly. They were developed already. My husband did that. And he was very, very good at that. But as far as how I kind of approach them and developing our team that is in the back doing all the work on the manufacturing of everyone's products, is setting goals that are attainable goals, being flexible and understanding that sometimes things happen, and the way you react to what happens is key. You can't be lackadaisical and, oh no, well, no, it doesn't matter. Oh well. But you also can't be so stern and mad
Right.
that everyone's
Nobody
scared.
wants to work with you.
Yeah, no one wants to work because they're scared to death. So you have to have a fine line there, I feel like, and that's just what we talk about sometimes is how to manage that. And like I said, the leadership team, they're strong. They're really
All right.
strong.
Well, let me get real with you here. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things that we face in North Louisiana is the fact that most people don't want to move here, right?
Right.
And there's talent that is necessary to acquire that is not available here. Now, we have that problem in Shreveport, and Shreveport is a mid-sized city.
Hmm.
So, I'm assuming that in your case, Lake Providence, that's even harder. I mean,
That's
do
a
you have
challenge.
people that you have brought from outside?
We have in the past, yes. We have hired some people in the past that commuted from Monroe every day or would come over like 3 days a week and work at home for 2 days a week. We actually have been blessed. About a year and a half ago, a precious family that lived in Nashville, Tennessee, moved to Lake Providence. And the husband and wife were both CPAs, and the husband came and worked for us, and just extremely talented CFO, and really, really instrumental in helping us keep everything flowing while Mike and I were in Houston all last summer. So we I think it truly it's a God thing. God sent him
Yes.
here, and he's been helping us out. So
Did he move because he already had the job with you, or did he move and then look for the job for
he
you?
moved because I liked it here. Oddly enough,
Okay.
his wife's grandmother lives here. So they had
Okay.
traveled here in the summers, doing like Fourth of July vacations here. So they were familiar, and they just decided they wanted to move. They were tired of the city life and they liked it here. It's a beautiful lake. It's slow pace. It's a beautiful community.
See,
So
that's what I'm getting at. Like that's what I tell people. If you live in Los Angeles, you live in Chicago, New York, whatever. There's a lot of things you have access to, but there's a piece that you can get there.
yeah,
So moving to a place like yours or ours is
yeah.
really an upgrade in life.
It truly is the amount, and he'll tell you that the amount of time he gets to spend with his kids now and his wife, and it's you can't trade that. That's
You
so
cannot.
important. And so it
I
doesn't
love it.
matter. I mean, it doesn't matter how much more money he made in Nashville than he made in Lake Providence. He's way happier here. So
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. That
yeah,
is excellent. Well, we have certainly covered a lot of ground in this conversation today. For those people who are watching or listening, I encourage you to save these. Come back a few times. There's a lot of great nuggets here. More importantly, make sure that you share it to other people. There's people who need to hear these messages. And so, as we begin to wrap up, Katie, I have a few rapid fire questions. Is that okay?
okay, all right. Let's see if we can
Quick,
do it.
couple of answers for each. What is the key to success for you?
Oh Lord, the key to success is happiness to me. Not just happiness.
I love it. What is one piece of advice that you will have for other business people who, like you, go through all these throes of business difficulty?
I think I kind of touched on that earlier as being adaptable, just being able to kind of stay, you want to stay the course, but you got to be able to change sometimes. You got to be able to adapt to whatever's happening at that moment.
Excellent. Now, you probably have read a few books.
If you,
Yeah. So, what is one book that you would recommend people in business that maybe made a difference for you?
Let me completely transparent here. Reading a book is probably the last thing I've done. I'm more maybe of a cookbook kind of reader, but I do podcast. So fortunate for you. And I've listened to several things like the how-to of business and the duct tape of marketing or things like that. I do listen to a few political things like Tucker Carlson, and I do listen to my daily Bible Hallow app. I got to get my as much Jesus in as I can. I think that's the top priority here is worshiping Jesus. So that comes first, and then I'll do my Bible. I mean, I'll do my business podcast, and then I'll do my political last.
That is excellent. And look, I mean, um, the reality is with so much access to so many different media, um, books have the content, but they don't have the engagement.
Yeah.
And so getting in the right place of mind by either accessing information that is written or video or podcast or
Mhm.
whatever is just simply what we need to do. Um, because we can't just stay within, right? We have to be out. And so thank you for that. I really appreciate you making that remark. So if you had to choose one area of your business you could immediately improve tomorrow, what will that be?
Supply chain.
Supply chain.
Yeah.
Okay,
Making
what
sure,
exactly
I
about the
mean,
supply
if
chain?
we could get every product here right at the same time and then make it the next day and then ship it out the next day, that would be, you know, that'd be Cadillac.
Oh,
That'd be the best way to go. But that doesn't happen. So we get it.
okay.
We adapt.
That is true.
Yeah.
And so before we get into the final question of the day, Katie, how can other people learn more about you and Panola Pepper Company? How can they get your products? I mean, all of
Yeah,
that.
the best way is our website at panolapepper.com. Like I said earlier, we do have Instagram and Facebook, and we have a Panola Pepper TikTok, but we also have Katie's Kitchen on TikTok, and all that's tied together. So that's the best way to learn more about us is through social media.
Any special offers for the listeners of yours?
Yeah, we'll do it. We're doing a 20% off with the code Panola20.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. And so the last question, okay? Again, you've been at this business your entire life, right? And there's the point we make here is that inspiration change over time. Sometimes, being growing with a business means that we're inspired to look elsewhere and look for other interests. Sometimes we reach that and we realize now I'm inspired to go back and make a difference, right?
Mhm.
As you come in back into your business and your husband takes over, there's an inspiration, something to pursue, right?
Mhm.
My question to you is what do you find that is most inspiring today?
That's probably a two-part question for me, or a two answered question for me. I'm inspired every day from my husband, my late husband, what he was doing and what he was trying to do, and his passion for what he was doing here. And so I'm inspired every day to try to continue that and to try to live up to, make him proud. But I'm also inspired every single day when I come here and this team that is here. And most of them transitioned from my dad to my husband and now to me. And they have all just kept things going. They have never, wavered. They've never done anything. And like I said, we were in Houston all last summer. Um, very, not a whole lot of contact. I mean, we're in contact with them, but we weren't here on the day to day. Mike wasn't here on the day to day. He couldn't. He was way too sick. And they kept this place running um, immaculate. I mean, they didn't miss a beat. And that inspires me. It really inspires me when I see people who truly, truly care and they're truly focused on what they're doing and wanting to do the right thing. And they know that this business was started to create jobs. And they're just as passionate about that as I am and wanting to grow the business and create more jobs. And that's inspiring to me to see people who just truly love what they do and want to do it the best way they can and to do it because it's the right thing to do. And it just, it just kind of brings tears to your eyes when you think about it. And they're just really great people. And I couldn't be more blessed.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all these with us. Thank you to the audience for listening and for watching and for sharing it with other people. Again, you never know who you might inspire, who you might actually influence and help move forward just by getting them to listen to this interview. And so until we see you again, make a great day.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Enjoyed it.